Hello friends, welcome to this session on Bot Framework Composer 2.0. We will be looking at creating our first bot project using Bot Framework Composer. So let's see how quickly and easily we can create a chatbot using Bot Framework Composer. This is a low-code tool from Microsoft. This is the latest version of the Composer from the May 2021 release, which is v2.0. So if you are using any of the previous versions, I highly encourage you to try out the latest version v2, which is loaded with great features and great capabilities. So let's get started. If you are new to the Bot Framework Composer, let me show you around the tool. So there are two flavors of Bot Framework Composer. One is a desktop application, which you can download. And this that you are seeing right now is the downloaded desktop application that I have. You can also run the Bot Framework Composer as a web component. You can get access to the source code from GitHub and you can run it from there on your local machine. So in the desktop application, what you see is the menu bar on the right hand side and some options here, and you have the notifications on the top right. So this is the home screen, and you will also see in the left bottom corner Composer settings. So here's where you can adjust your language, your themes, and most importantly, you can configure for app updates. So you can choose to update automatically or even try out preview features as and when they are available. That's it. Let's go ahead and create our first application. You hit home and there is an option to create new. Click create new and you will see a pop-up which provides you a couple of options. So you have the provision to choose between C# and Node, which is in preview right now. But in C# itself, you have the provision to choose between these various options. You can create an empty bot or a core bot with language, that is language understanding services, or that's more like natural language understanding capabilities. Or you can hook it with Q&A maker, or you have assistant bots. Assistant bots are a little more powerful bots, powerful capabilities in those bots. For each of the option that you choose, feel free to read the description on the right hand side here, which will give you kind of an idea of what you will get out of the box. Right? So for empty bot, it is said that it is a good idea to start from scratch with a basic bot. And this is the first, it is the recommendation for first-time bot developers and even for seasoned pros. And what you get capabilities out of the box is it will greet new and returning users. So, and the supporting language is English. So I'm good with this, and this is probably a good time to start with empty bot as our first bot. So you get a simple bot with a root dialog and a greeting dialog. And let's go ahead and create our first bot project. Let's name it my first bot project. And we also see that we have an option to choose between Azure Functions and Azure Web App for our runtime. I'd leave it for Azure Web App for now. And you can choose a location for your bot project and hit create. So as it takes a couple of seconds to get the runtime and all in the background to get ready. Now I also tell you that this is not a no-code tool, it's a low-code tool. So very minimal code that we might need to write, but not in C#, of course, though we did choose C#. The reason being, all the visuals that we're going to create on screen, it's a visual editing canvas that we get, the components we will be dragging and dropping onto screen. Behind the scenes, the composer is actually creating a C# project for you, which eventually you will be able to download and you will be able to export as a zip file and either continue working in your favorite IDE like Visual Studio if you want to build more sophisticated experiences, or you can hand it over to the developer team to continue working on that. So there are various ways in which you can use the composer. So our project is ready. Before I touch anything here, I'd like to go ahead and just start my bot. Let's see what we get out of the box here. So this is my empty bot that I had chosen, and I will see that as I run, this is my local runtime manager. It says that my bot is running. Now I have two options to test this bot. I can either interact with my bot using web chat, or I can interact it in the emulator. Now an emulator is also a tool that is available from Microsoft. It is a free downloadable tool. If I click test in emulator, now I had the emulator downloaded on my machine. You can also download the emulator from GitHub, and this is the emulator that is running. And if you can see, the bot is actually send me a message, welcome to your bot, right? It does not know how to respond to anything else at this point in time, but we can fix that. So this is one way in which you can test the bot. The other option is, as you can see, you can test in web chat. Web chat is an embedded control within Bot Framework Composer, wherein you need not leave the tool and go to the emulator. You can very well test it within the composer itself. So it says welcome to your bot. That is the greeting message from the bot, but it doesn't quite do anything beyond that. That said, let's take a look at how it came to the greeting and also to the sorry message. Right? So if I go back to my composer, you'd see on the left hand side the menu items, and just next to that you'd see what, if you're coming from a developer background, you will know that this is akin to your solution folder. You have the bot project and a couple of what we call triggers underneath here. This is your visual editing canvas, and at the far right you have the properties pane. And at the top you have a strip where you can start and restart your bot, your notifications, etc. And also at the bottom you have your output pane. In case you have any errors or warnings, it will be visible in this area. So let's dig into this. So this is my bot project, and the first thing that I see is what's called a greeting trigger. Now this is interesting because in the greeting trigger, whatever is highlighted with this lightning icon is essentially a trigger. And we'll talk about triggers, actions, and dialogues in a bit. But in a trigger, in the greeting trigger, as you can see, this trigger gets fired when the bot starts up the project itself. So this is the first trigger to get fired. And if I can just explain what is done inside here, it is said that for each member that is added to this turn off activities, the bot is looking forward to greet that user. It will also check not only for new users but for returning users, but they don't want to keep greeting returning users every time. Just want to make sure that the returning user is also greeted just once in a day. So that is the check here. And beyond this is the part that we are interested in. So it sends a response. So if I have to come from here, so you look at the entire flow chart here, and besides you can also use the zoom icon here to take a closer look at your flow chart. As you proceed from the top, you will see the conditional flow that has taken place here. If the recipient has not been greeted prior to this, it proceeds with sending a response to the recipient, if it is true. If it is false, which means that the person would ideally not want to see a greeting anymore, we should not be greeting, it takes the false route, skips the response and comes down, and we are free to add here additional components that will fill our conversation flow. So let's start with this. It is sending a response saying welcome to your bot, and I'm not quite happy with that. Let's say hi there, So that seems to be a nice way to greet a particular user. Now, typically in bot scenarios, if you've dealt with chatbots previously, chatbots are usually very monotonous in nature. Their responses are quite robotic. So I'd like to keep this a little dynamic and a little more uh, less robotic, let's say. And I'm going to configure even other alternate phrases. And the reason I do that is because I'd like to, not have my users greeted the same way every single time. So I'm going to put in a couple of responses there and we'll show you how this works. So I've put in about 4 responses and I will restart my bot. You can add any number of alternatives here. Let me show you how this works. So again, I'm restarting my bot and we will try testing it in the web chat once again. You have a restart conversation ID just to clear up your canvas. And there you see that the bot is now greeting me, hey there. That may be the greeting or the response from the bot one time. The next time I'd probably get hi there. So I get hola. Get various responses as you can see from the bot, and you can use this in different ways that you'd like. For example, you can check for the time of the day and choose to provide a response to your user based on the time of the day. You can greet them good afternoon, good evening, good morning, etc. So that's entirely left to your imagination and your creativity, but you get the idea that you have the provision to easily, with very minimal code, literally we haven't written any code there, to configure for alternate phrases and responses as well as part of your conversation flow. And then thereafter, it's the same story. We haven't quite changed that, but I'd also like to show you that before we end this video. So that was about the greeting trigger, and the next trigger over here is the unknown intent. So in the empty bot, when we created the empty bot, there are 2 triggers that we get out of the box. One is the greeting trigger and the other one is the unknown intent. So in the unknown intent, this unknown intent gets fired anytime the bot does not understand the user's ask. So the bot is only as good as how much it has been trained or programmed, and every now and then the bot would come across something that the bot has not been told to how to address. So for example, at this point in time, the bot does not know how to respond to my hi or my hello, and that has automatically gone into this loop of unknown intent, and that's why the bot is sending me a message called sorry, I didn't get that. And all of this is completely configurable. You can say sorry, I didn't understand that, and could you please rephrase your query, and you can restart your bot. So this is what you get out of the box for an empty bot. You will get a greeting trigger and an unknown intent, which you can perfectly configure. And in the next videos, we will try and see how we can expand on these conversation flows and add our own triggers and actions and dialogues, and look at other capabilities in the bot framework composer to build great conversational user experiences. I hope you found that useful. Thank you. Take care.